Deep beneath the Earth's surface lies a remarkable living organism, one that defies nearly every convention of modern civilization. Per acre, it generates an astonishing amount of biomass, far surpassing even corn's prolific output. It effortlessly endures harsh frosts that would utterly devastate wheat crops. It flourishes amidst severe droughts, conditions under which potatoes would inevitably perish. And once established, it offers a truly remarkable advantage. You'll never need to purchase its seeds again. This plant perpetually regenerates itself year after year. It's essentially a perpetual motion machine, tirelessly producing an endless supply of calories. For millennia, this wasn't merely a food source. Its significance ran far deeper. It served as the ultimate insurance policy, safeguarding against societal collapse and widespread famine. It was the vital energy reserved for numerous indigenous nations and frequently represented the last bastion of survival for empires teetering on the brink of starvation. Yet, despite its profound value, we systematically erased it from our collective memory and our fields. This wasn't because it proved ineffective, quite the opposite. It was eradicated precisely because it succeeded far too well. A crop that sprouts without requiring cultivation permits, provides sustenance without monetary cost, and proliferates freely, inherently resists ownership. And within the prevailing framework of the modern world, anything that cannot be owned outright cannot, by extension, be profitably sold. Welcome to Farm Life Daily. Today, we delve into our archives to uncover the story of a plant that not only endured the vast expanses of the Ice Age and survived multiple world wars, but now lies patiently waiting, often invisibly, right beneath your very feet. Our story commences in the early 1600s, along the windswept eastern coast of what we now recognize as New England. A European explorer casts anchor for his ship near a tranquil coastal harbor. There, he is met by the local indigenous population, who graciously extend a welcoming feast. Among the array of roasted meats and corn, his eyes land upon a root vegetable he has never encountered previously. It appears knobby, irregular in shape, and still covered in fresh soil. Yet, the moment he takes a bite, he is utterly stunned. Its texture is crisp, its taste delicately sweet, and it possesses a distinct nutty flavor, remarkably reminiscent of the artichokes he knows from Europe. Convinced he has unearthed a true botanical treasure, he meticulously fills his ship's hold with these peculiar tubers and sets sail for home. News of the plant quickly spreads across Europe, capturing widespread attention. Various cultures bestow new names upon it, each inspired by its impressively towering, sunflower-like blooms and its unusual, abundant underground harvest. Eventually, this fascinating plant comes to be widely known as the Jerusalem artichoke. However, this common name is, in fact, misleading. It bears no connection whatsoever to Jerusalem, nor is it actually an artichoke. Its true botanical identity is Helianthus tuberosus, more simply, the sunroot. And while Europeans largely regarded it as a mere botanical curiosity, indigenous peoples understood something far more profound about this plant. To them, this plant wasn't just sustenance. It represented a sophisticated form of technology. One enduring oral tradition recounts the tale of a sky woman whose sacrifice ultimately gave birth to the world. From her very body, the sunroot emerged, a plant seemingly designed to tower over a man, crowned with radiant golden flowers that faithfully track the sun's journey across the sky. Yet, its most profound miracle, its true power, remained hidden deep underground. Fast forward 2 centuries. During a particularly brutal expedition across the unforgiving northern plains, a group of explorers found themselves in dire straits. Freezing, starving, and perilously close to death. The wild game had vanished, and their vital supplies were completely depleted. Their salvation came not from their weapons, but from an invaluable form of knowledge. An indigenous guide accompanying them didn't attempt to track animals. Instead, she deliberately focused her search on the ground beneath their feet. She possessed the ancestral wisdom that small prairie animals spent their summers meticulously harvesting sunroots, storing them deep beneath the soil to sustain themselves through the harsh winter months. By expertly locating these hidden underground caches, some of which contained well over 10 pounds of tubers in a single spot. She managed to unearth life-saving food, miraculously preserved beneath the frozen earth. The sunroot tubers were quickly roasted and shared among the group. This humble plant ultimately saved the entire expedition. Clearly, this plant functioned as a biological battery, ingeniously storing the abundant energy of summer sunlight safely underground, always ready to be accessed precisely when survival hung in the balance. So, if this remarkable crop consistently yields more food per acre than wheat, demands no intensive plowing, and has historically saved countless lives, why isn't it a staple in our diets today? Why are our grocery store shelves overflowing with ubiquitous white potatoes, while the incredibly resilient sunroot is so often dismissed and even actively treated as a mere weed? The answer to this puzzling question lies primarily in the transformative era of the Industrial Revolution. The sunroot, it turns out, possesses one seemingly fatal flaw in the eyes of industrial progress. It utterly refuses to conform to industrial agricultural standards. Potatoes, by contrast, are conveniently smooth, uniformly shaped, and remarkably easy to harvest. They effortlessly roll along conveyor belts and neatly fit into standardized boxes. In essence, they are perfectly designed for machine-driven processes. The sunroot, however, is the complete opposite. Its form is twisted and knobby, and its tubers cling stubbornly to the soil. It frequently traps small stones and dirt within its irregular contours. Consequently, mechanical harvesting severely damages it, making large-scale production impractical. And to compound the problem, it stubbornly refuses to disappear once planted. Leave behind even a tiny fragment, barely the size of a fingernail, and it will inevitably sprout the following year, returning with relentless vigor. It respects no cultivated boundaries. It certainly doesn't ask for permission to grow. For industrial agriculture, a crop that cannot be easily controlled and managed is simply not considered an asset. In fact, it's viewed as a significant problem. And so we made our choice, opting for the potato. The crop that obligingly needs to be replanted year after year. The crop that demands an array of chemicals to thrive. The crop that, above all, obeys. But the sunroot, true to its nature, did not vanish completely. It merely waited. The darkest and perhaps most poignant chapter of its story unfolded during the grim years of the Second World War. As brutal occupying forces systematically seized and transported away vital food supplies across Europe, staples such as wheat, meat, butter, and even potatoes, entire populations were left grappling with widespread starvation. Yet, one crucial thing was consistently overlooked: the tenacious sunroot. It grew prolifically and wild, thriving along neglected roadsides, in ditches, and throughout abandoned fields. Unlike other crops, it couldn't be easily seized or blockaded by the authorities. For years, it represented the thin, desperate line between survival and certain death for millions of families across the continent. They boiled it, roasted it over open fires, and even painstakingly ground it into a crude flour. Kept people alive. But when the war finally ended, the plant itself seemed to carry the trauma of those brutal years. For a generation, it tasted not of sustenance, but of profound hunger, tasted of gnawing fear. Consequently, an entire generation resolutely refused to eat it ever again. And so, once more, the sunroot receded into obscurity. However, nature, in its indifferent wisdom, does not honor human emotions or historical traumas. The resilient plant simply continued its relentless growth, largely unnoticed by human eyes. Then, in the late 20th century, a new wave of pioneering chefs and dedicated growers began to rediscover it. Its unique flavor, its astonishing resilience, and its vast untapped potential. And with that rediscovery, they also inevitably rediscovered its less than flattering reputation. The gas. Unlike potatoes, which store their energy as starch, the sunroot stores its energy in the form of inulin. This inulin passes undigested through the small intestine, ultimately reaching the colon, where it is rapidly fermented by gut bacteria. The immediate result, at least initially, is often some level of gastrointestinal discomfort. However, modern science has now uncovered the truth behind this phenomenon. Inulin is, in fact, recognized as one of the most powerful prebiotics available on Earth. It actively feeds beneficial gut bacteria, significantly strengthens the immune system, helps to lower cholesterol levels, and offers protection against various colon diseases. For a world grappling with the escalating crisis of diabetes, the sunroot presents itself as a truly remarkable food source. Its glycemic index is remarkably close to 0. It offers a satisfying sweetness without causing detrimental sugar spikes. Far from being a flaw, the initial discomfort is actually something else entirely. It can be a positive sign, an indication of a damaged gut actively engaged in the process of healing and rebalancing. Today, humanity stands at a critical turning point. Our global climate systems are rapidly destabilizing. The very agricultural models developed and perfected over the last century were designed for a world that simply no longer exists. Wheat crops now routinely fail under intense heat waves. Corn perishes during prolonged droughts, and potatoes rot away in catastrophic floods. But the sunroot, resilient as ever, patiently waits. It tolerates extreme temperatures, surviving down to an astonishing -30 degrees Celsius. It thrives even in impoverished, nutrient-depleted soil. Its robust roots possess the unique ability to break apart compacted earth, accessing essential minerals that other conventional crops simply cannot reach. Furthermore, it yields an impressive 20 tons per acre, requiring absolutely no irrigation. We currently exist in a culture utterly obsessed with annual crops, those that are fast-growing, quick to sell, and essentially disposable after a single season. The sunroot, however, is a perennial plant. Truly plays the long game, enduring for years. It grows defiantly where it is not wanted. It consistently gives more than it takes from the soil. It fundamentally refuses to be owned or controlled. The potato has become the quintessential crop of empire. Uniform, controlled, mass-produced. The sunroot, by stark contrast, is the undeniable crop of resistance. We didn't truly lose it in the traditional sense. We simply forgot how to listen to its wisdom. The inherent knowledge of its power is still very much there, buried deep within the DNA of the plant itself, patiently waiting for the inevitable moment when our fragile supply chains break and grocery shelves stand empty. So here is a challenge for you. Don't merely consume this story passively. Go out and find this knobby, perhaps unassuming, but utterly miraculous root. Plant it in the absolute worst soil you can find on your property. Neglect it entirely. Ignore its presence. And then, simply watch it rise and flourish. Because when the easy times inevitably come to an end, potatoes will sadly rot away in forgotten warehouses. But the incredible sunroot will still be patiently waiting, right where you left it, ready to nourish. If you're eager to uncover more forgotten knowledge about sustainable farming, overlooked history, and profound resilience, then we invite you to subscribe to Farm Life Daily. Please share this powerful story with someone you believe needs to remember these vital lessons. The land, after all, never truly forgot.